This is a Kinorhyncha. At a microscopic level, this is what they typically look like. However, we found a Kinorhyncha the size of a human right here on LMU's campus. At true size, Kinorhyncha are less than 1 millimeter long, but if this Kinorhyncha was human-sized, humans would be over 2.5 miles tall. That's as long as the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Standing up, they would be as tall as 3 Burj Khalifas, 6 Empire State Buildings, or 81 megalodons. Kinorhynchs are bilaterally symmetrical and vermiform, meaning their bodies are shaped like a worm. They have 2 cell layers, and their body cavity is pseudocolumate, which means false fluid-filled cavity. They have a nervous system with an anterior nerve ring and a double nerve cord, but they have no circulatory or respiratory systems.
Their reproduction is normally sexual and gonochoristic, meaning their species only has 2 sexes, and each organism only takes on the characteristics of one sex. Both male and female Kinorhynchs have paired gonads and short gonoducts, with males having 2 to 3 hollow, rigid spinicles associated with their gonopores, and females having both germ cells and nutritive cells in their gonads. However, more variation exists within the Kinorhyncha taxon than just differences in the sexes. Kinorhyncha are divided into 2 orders, and there are 21 genera and over 200 species within this taxon alone. They are found in many different habitats, from more shallow intertidal zones, such as along sandy beaches, to as deep down as the abyssal zone, where organisms such as lanternfish and deepwater squid reside.
All species of Kinorhyncha, as part of the Ecdysozoa clade, experience molting as part of their life history, most emerging from their egg with 11 of their body segments fully formed and then going through a series of 6 molts before adulthood to gain the final 2. However, molting for the Kinorhyncha taxon has been observed in 2 adult species. For their overall development, Kinorhyncha are considered protostomes, meaning their mouth develops before their anus, the opposite of the development of humans. The embryos undergo direct development to juvenile stages after internal fertilization. Once they become fully developed, their bodies are segmented into 3 main parts: the head, the neck, and the trunk. Their head is actually how they move. They avert their head, called the introvert, to propel themselves forward.
In terms of food sources, Kinorhyncha are direct deposit feeders, collecting food on their head scalids for later, or bringing them in through the pharynx. Diatoms, bacteria, and algae make up the majority of their diet, and Kinorhynchs typically find these lying in the substrate beneath them. It is unclear as to when the first Kinorhyncha came to be. However, they were first discovered in 1841 as unknown marine invertebrates. There are 3 defining characteristics that make up the Kinorhyncha phylum. The first 2 are the mouth cone around the pharynx and the 7 dilators of the hindgut. The last and most significant characteristic, however, is the segmentation seen on their trunk, both externally and internally. Kinorhyncha evolved segmentation independently from other animal groups, which might explain their separation on the tree from many other taxons. This claim is supported by the trunk musculature in the anterior segments, the absence of segmentation in the digestive system, and the absence of ganglia in the most of the segments as well.
Trees were fairly similar to the phylogenetic trees found through literature. The morphology and data matrix trees matched up fairly closely. This is most likely because the Kinorhyncha does not share many of the same characteristics as the other taxon, possessing a different body cavity, only 2 layers of tissues, and no respiratory system. This is also due to the Annelida, mollusca, and arthropoda being closely related through their commonality of segmentation, and the Kinorhyncha having evolved that separately. As part of their evolutionary history, Kinorhynchas developed musculature similar to the other phyla that is composed of 2 rings of introverted retractors attached through a collar-shaped brain. Part of their nervous system, a morphological trait that has been shown to be an effective comparison for phylogenetics, Kinorhyncha has a tripartite brain with dense cells to form clusters or lobes. This is in direct contrast to N. metiscus, part of the arthropoda phylum, whose scalids are innervated from the brain.
In conclusion, the Kinorhyncha taxon is a pretty snazzy group of organisms. They are more separated from the other taxons, but they still share some characteristics that make them all pretty much family.
Kinorhyncha. Am I on one side of the frame now?
Yeah, you are. This is so sad.
You're gonna hold it still.